Hello, today we're going to look at speeding up and slowing down our object, whatever our object is. Our object is a circle, but you can use a rectangle, you can use, and in a little bit I'll teach you how to put your own images in. But speeding up and slowing down, there is one kind of quick way, which uh, has its positives and negatives. But if we just switch this to 3, now instead of going 1 pixel at a time, now it's going to be going 3 pixels at a time. So you can see it's bouncing around the screen quite quickly, and we could, keep increasing this. But one problem that exists if this gets too big, it's you got to imagine that it's skipping 3 pixels a time. So if you have a barrier that is, say, 5 pixels thick, and you want it to bounce off the barrier, if 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 you're jumping 10 pixels, sometimes it will jump right over the barrier. So you want to keep these numbers in check so they don't get too big. Another way that you can control the speed is using the time feature. Now this is important because how fast a game works depends on how fast it can process all of the code. And on really fast computers, your game will move much quicker than on, say, a Raspberry Pi, which would process it much slower. So one way to make sure everyone's getting the same speed is to uh, put in a clock feature. So if I say clock equals pygame, first you got to spell it correctly, that time dot clock, and that second clock is a capital C. The first one I have a lowercase c. And of course, clock, I'm making up that variable name. Um, it could be something else, but that's just what I'm going to use, so it's easy to remember. And so down here, I'm going to say clock dot tick, and if I say 60, it's going to update this 60 times per second. They call that the FPS, frames per second. So now it's going at 60 frames per second. It's drawing a new circle and moving it around. You could lower it down to 30, and you can see now it's going to go through 30 frames per second, and you can see it's a little bit slower. Now, you can play with the velocity and play with the clock.tick to make things go at different speeds. So maybe you have bullets that are going faster um, than the rest of the game. That's one way you can control it. This controls the whole code, where this is just specific to the thing that you're moving.